All right, all right, all right. Let's see what's going on here tonight, guys. Make sure the audio is coming through okay. And it appears to be. Excellent, excellent. All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Misfit Corner Comics. This is the artist knows Andrew speaking, and we're live streaming. I know we haven't done that a lot on this channel lately. Hold on. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. I know we haven't done that on this channel in a long time. Been very busy on the scam channel. Been hanging out over at Todd's channel, Clever Era, and live streaming over there. But due to scheduling conflicts, the evening was free for me to do a live stream, and that's what we're doing. Now, I've gone ahead and invited a couple of people. We'll see if anybody's able to join, and I'll give them maybe 5-10 minutes. If nobody joins, then we may cut this early. But bottom line is, we're almost at New Year's. New Year's Eve. I'm looking very, very forward to that. A new year is a new opportunity to set new goals and to actually achieve things. And I've been thinking over the last day or two what my goals are for next year. And I was hoping if Avery or Zach could join, we could talk about everybody's goals if they even have them. I mean, I know a lot of people don't set New Year's resolutions just simply because, sometimes they know they're not going to keep them. So why even set them in the first place? I did a couple of times over the past couple of years. I set some New Year's resolutions and I stuck to them for good months on end, but never ever ever finished the entire year worth. But I had a I did a sketch a day challenge for myself one year. I believe that was either 27. I know I did it in 2017, and I may have done it in 2018, um, but I never made it to the end of the year. One year I went, oh, good 5-6 months worth of doing a sketch a day and making a video for on the channel, and yeah, I just couldn't maintain it just because life happens. Um, I'm not sure about next year's New Year's resolution. I'm still debating on what I'm going to do, knowing that I'm probably not going to be able to fulfill it. But, sometimes it's good to set goals, even if they're unattainable. You know what I mean? Set a goal and try to stick to it as best you can. My goals usually revolve around the channels, the YouTube channels, or the store, or drawing, or something with the comics. Um, Most likely, that's where I'm going to go again this year because I have a lot of stuff that I want to get done. It's just a matter of committing the time and energy to them. That's always the hard part. But we're going to try to set some goals for next year, and we'll see what we can do about achieving them. Now, actually, I did find out something last night. Todd and Avery and I and Zach and Dusty did a stream together. We did not broadcast; it wasn't a live stream, but we got together and talked about some future plans on Todd's channel. And my wife surprised me with a birthday gift. We are going on a cruise in January. It's a short cruise. I think it's 3 nights, 4 days, something like that, and it's just a weekend cruise. You leave on Thursday, you come back Sunday. Um, but I realized that in order to maintain my video a day on the scam channel, I gotta be prepared. I gotta get that done ahead of time. And because I'm not going to be taking scam calls, I'm not going to be making any recordings during that time period. I gotta uh, step up my game, as they say, as the kids say. But needless to say, I'm looking forward to it. It's always a challenge preparing to go on vacation and being out of town. You have to make sure stuff at work is covered, the store's covered, the channels are covered. But I should be able to do it. I've got enough time. Let's see, today's the 30th. We don't leave till the 19th. Oh, sorry. So it's almost 3 weeks away. So I have 3 weeks to prepare. And technically, I would only need a video for, like 4 days worth. And matter of fact, right before this call, right before I started this live stream, I knocked out two videos, one for Saturday and one for Sunday. So I've gotten the weekend taken care of already. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible to do. It's just a matter of sitting down and getting the damn stuff done. I know a lot of people can relate. I know a lot of people can relate. But anyway, um, let's see what else is going on. Let's see. There's bringing it back to comics. There's another tent sale next weekend. Oh wow, I forgot it's coming up so quickly. The weekend of the 7th and 8th. This is the one down in Weirsdale, where Joe Peace does a tent sale at his farm. And I usually find a lot of good filler stuff for the store, so I'm looking forward to going to that. And then the following weekend on the 15th is the Deland show. Um, which I'm planning on going to. It's a Sunday, so I may just either have my sister cover the store for a little bit or go a little early and check it out. Um, but I may run into Zach down there, and he's got some comics he's looking to getting rid of, so maybe definitely picking up some of those. But yeah, it's 2 weekends in a row where I'm going to either shows or sales in order to find new stuff for the store. I mean, gotta love it. Which reminds me, I need to order some more bags and boards. I'm running out. Actually, in the store, one of the things I like to do, in order to either make room in the boxes, is I kind of have a limited amount of space that I keep for the dollar comics and $2 and up comics. I've been thinking recently about expanding it again, just because I need more room. But whenever I need to make room for new stuff that I know is coming, I will move stuff from the dollar bins over to the 50-cent bins. But I've kind of eliminated the 50-cent bins in the store. I now have quarter comics, quarter boxes, and these are comics that are either bagged or not bagged and boarded at all. So they're easy to identify which ones are the quarter ones because they're not in bags and boards. And plus, everything's in my inventory. You guys know I'm so anal when it comes to keeping track of everything. Everything's in there. Everything's priced properly. At least I try to keep it that way. And yeah, I've moved a lot of stuff into the quarter bins lately. I eliminated all the 50-cent comics. I still have 75-cent comics, but those are slowly dwindling down. Um, it's not because I don't like giving other options, but in my mind, dollar comics, bagged and boarded dollar comics is like the best. And then the next best is the quarter comics. And sometimes, honestly, when I'm running out of bags and boards for the newer stuff, I will sacrifice some dollar comics. Used to be 50-cent comics, now it's 75-cent comics, in order to, move them into the 25 center so that I can make room for the dollar ones. I mean, it makes more sense that way. But that ends up being a lot of work, unbagging and rebagging and re-inventorying and so forth. But it's one of those things I love doing. You run a comic book store, you got to keep track of your inventory, and I love screwing around with that stuff. Well, we're almost 9 minutes into the show. Nobody's here. The guys haven't come in, and that's okay. If they don't make it, then, like I said, we'll wrap this up quickly or short. There's not a lot going on, I don't think. There's only maybe one or two comics that I bought recently that I found interesting, but not enough to dedicate a show to them. I haven't really gotten any new comics that like blew my socks off or bringing into the store. I got some older ones that I'm still flipping through to see if they're even valuable or worth it to put into the store, just because some of them are really beat up. But then again, there are people out there that like that kind of stuff. So, even if it's just a few bucks, beat up old comics is kind of cool. I mean, sometimes they're ones that you'll never see out there in the wild because, nobody kept them. in really good conditions back then. So finding a beat up old copy is kind of reminiscent. You never know. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. There's other thing regarding the store is it's after Christmas season right now, so there's a lot of stores doing after Christmas clearance. I like to buy up some stuff that I know I can sell in the store next year at cheaper prices, and then offer them at even cheaper prices to everybody else. I like buying stuff that you can put out year round. You know, a lot of the stuff I buy, like for Christmas and Valentine, after Christmas, Valentine, Halloween, you really can't keep them out all the time. They're seasonal stuff. Um, so a lot of the Christmas stuff I bought is just going to go into a bin for next year. But I like finding stuff that can go up year round. Game stuff for kids, books for kids, stickers, stuff like that. Even if it's a Christmas sticker album, kids still like those, whether it's Christmas time or not. And I like finding that kind of stuff to put in the store. And um, it's always kind of a hunt to find the best deal on clearance stuff. That's the way it goes. I end up investing a little bit of money at the end of the year after the holidays, and then turn it around next year. And some stuff sells, some stuff doesn't. But I like to have it on hand. One of the things I found this year um, that I like as an all year round type thing is they had these little tins. They look like lunch pails. They put them out in Valentine's Day as Valentine's Day boxes, but they also have them at Christmas time and other times of the year where they're just cute little collectible tins that kids can use for almost anything. And I found a couple Paw Patrol ones and a couple Baby Yoda from the Mandalorian ones. Now, granted, they are absolutely Christmas looking, Christmas related decorating, but it doesn't matter. They're awesome little collectible tins that it doesn't matter if it's Christmas time or not. They're just cute. That's the kind of stuff I like. I like having that kind of stuff in the store. 'Cause you never know what kids will buy. Another thing I like to have on hand is wrapping paper. The wrapping paper. If any of you guys were buying wrapping paper before Christmas this year, man, the prices skyrocketed. The wife and I went to Target, and a regular roll of wrapping paper was like $5, where in previous years they were like three. I went to Walmart and they were 4.28 for like superhero wrapping paper, where the previous year they were 2.98. It's like, damn, that's a lot. That's asking a lot of extra money just to buy paper to wrap a present that somebody's going to tear off and throw away. I mean, the idea of spending a lot of money on something that you're just going to throw away is just mind blowing to me. And my daughter this year for Christmas, she made her own wrapping paper. They got like a stamp set and decorated some like regular paper types. I'm not sure. It wasn't like white paper. I think it was like kind of like a brown paper. It was like a packing paper, but they decorated them themselves. So they kind of were crafty with it, which is kind of nice when people do that. But I mean, she actually put effort into it. So that was pretty awesome. But I like to buy wrapping paper so that I have it for the next year. It's technically something you can use year round. We used to buy, it was always hilarious. Target every year for a while had Justin Bieber wrapping paper. And I used to love buying a roll of it after Christmas and then using it all year round, like for birthdays or any gift exchange where you have to give somebody a gift. You wrapped it in the Justin Bieber wrapping paper. Just because why not? I mean, come on, it's hilarious. But I don't think they've made Justin Bieber wrapping paper in a while. Yeah, I don't think he's the heartthrob he used to be back in those days. I'm talking a couple of years ago. Now he's like a tattooed freak. But, yeah, I know. Yeah, whatever. I don't think he's even making music anymore. He might be. I have no idea. But I don't. I do not follow Justin Bieber at all. So yeah, Avery would probably say liar. Call me out on it, but that's okay. But all right, well, we're 15 minutes into the show and nobody's showed up, and that's okay. That's all right. Like I said, we haven't done this show on this channel at this time in a long time. I really wanted to do the Wednesday show, but my God, Wednesday has become very difficult to do. I'm going to try. That's one of my goals for next year, is to try to get back on a regular schedule and maintain a regular schedule when it comes to the live streams. Now, the one that I do every week is the Scam Channel one on Saturdays at 8 o'clock, which is crazy, but we're going to miss it this week because of New Year's. I'm going to be actually at a party, a family party, and not going to be live streaming. So it'll be the first time in like 30 weeks that I did not live stream on Saturday night. But that's the whole thing. You have to make yourself a schedule and you have to stick to it. You have to commit to it, even if nobody comes, like tonight. But like I said, we're probably going to try to get back into the swing of doing the Wednesday show. I I like doing that, but I always intended to make it like a drawing show, and it just that always fell apart. But like I said, I'm going to try to make some commitments to, you know, make some things happen and get some stuff done next year. So we'll see what happens. Keep in touch with the channel, because you never know. We'll make announcements on when things happen. But yeah, we'll see. But all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead. I really didn't have anything else to talk about this evening. I was hoping the guys would jump in and we, BS about this and that. We had some interesting conversation. Oh, and of course, as soon as I want to wrap up, Avery joins. Hey, I think it's funny. As soon as I was getting ready to wrap up, you chime in.
Oh, okay. Well, I was asleep.
Well, that's all right. Well, nobody's here, so.
Oh yeah, I passed out.
Yeah. I was just talking about New Year's resolutions and trying to maintain more regularity on my streams on this particular channel, because this is the comics channel. I wanted to do the Wednesday stream, but it just hasn't. I haven't been able to keep it. So, but we're gonna try to do better for next year. Now I know the answer to this question, but do you have any New Year's resolutions?
No, they're stupid.
Yep, see, told you guys.
No, I think they're dumb.
I told them ahead. When I started talking about it, I said most people don't keep them in the first place.
Yeah, if you're gonna do something, do it.
Yeah.
Don't jinx yourself by making a New Year's resolution.
Well, I did a couple of years where I resolved to do a sketch a day and make videos of it, and I think 2018 was the last one where I actually I did really good. I did almost 6 months of daily sketch videos, and then it just got impossible to do, impossible to maintain. But I think it's a matter of setting a resolution that you can actually handle, not giving yourself a task that's so behemoth that you're going to fail within a month, But it's not easy to do, because you want to set something out that you can enjoy, that you can do and try to achieve. But hell, I even made a New Year's resolution one year where I said I'm going to complete something, or actually get something done every day. And it could be as simple as taking out the trash. As long as I got something done that day, it was maintaining that New Year's resolution. Then I stopped keeping track of it. So, oh, hey, Richard's here.
Hey, what's up?
Richard says, hey, Andrew. Hey there, Avery. I resolved to resolve nothing. Very good. That sounds about right. So, and I was also mentioning, I'm not live streaming on the Scam channel tomorrow night, because I'm going to be at that New Year's party, the family party, which should be fun. It'll be the first time not live streaming on a Saturday night in about 30. I think I did 32 in a row. That's pretty damn good. That's a commitment right there. It's not a whole year worth, but it was a good shot at it. But so last night, the wife surprised me with a birthday present. She booked us a cruise. Now, granted, it's only a 3-night cruise. It's just like a little weekend cruise. But it's you leave on Thursday, you come back Sunday. So it'll be another weekend where I miss doing the live stream, because I'm not live streaming from a cruise ship.
No,
because that costs way too much money. So, oh well. Maybe I'll do my live stream that week on Wednesday from the Scam channel, just at least to maintain. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not making any commitments right now. There's too. I have a very hard time, and I don't know if you're like this or not. I have a very hard time getting past like the next 2 days when it comes to planning stuff in my head.
Hmm.
I cannot. I cannot. My wife's like talking about, um, you know, she's talking about a trip in August, and I'm like, oh my god, dear, I can't. My brain cannot go that far out. I literally have a calendar on my phone that I have to check almost every single day because I never know what's happening the next day.
Richard wants to know: is it a furry cruise
Oh, is it a furry cruise? No, it's not. It's just a nice little bebop jaunt over to the Bahamas.
in
And
fursuits?
yeah, when we're not in fursuits. But neither one of us have an updated passport, so we're not planning on getting off the boat anyway. But the deal she got was actually pretty good. The cost per person was only $120, and that's like $40 a night. Which if you think about it, if depending on what meal package you get, if you get the basic meal package, which is food's available all the time, if you're not going out to any expensive dinners or anything like that, $40 for food for an entire day, that's not too damn bad.
Mm-mm.
But then taxes and cruise fees and all that kind of actually she was telling me that the cost, the taxes and the port fees and all that was actually more than the tickets themselves,
Hmm.
which that's how they get you. But we're going to go. We're going to disconnect our phones.
Hmm.
We're going to spend time together, enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, sounds nice.
We're going to gamble, and we're going to
You'll you'll
yeah.
pay that much a night for a flea bag hotel.
Oh, hey, Zach's here. Hey, let me bring him in. Hey, Zach, how's it going?
Same old, same old.
Your head's off center.
Nah, that's because I'm actually working on something else right now. So
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna make this a short stream because we didn't really have much to talk about tonight anyway.
yeah,
But
is this private or are we going
No,
live?
it's life.
oh, we're already live. We're already live.
All right. Yeah,
So,
I gotta get to bed early. I'm actually getting up at 5 tomorrow. So
yeah, I got you. Hey, quick question for you, Zach. Do you make New Year's resolutions?
I don't waste my time doing them because honestly, I always forget them the next morning after I sober up.
Avery says they're stupid, so he doesn't do them either. And
No. You either do something or you're not.
yeah, and the last couple of times I've actually set a New Year's resolution, I was either done with it like a month into it. The one year I did, I got to go back and look how many consecutive days I did. I did a sketch a day video series one year. I swear I went almost 6 months. Maybe it was 5 months. But
I think I once did. I swear I'm going to write 3,000 words a day.
oh geez,
No, I've done that. I've done it, but
yeah, but for a whole year.
yeah, I've done it for a whole year.
Oh really?
Well, when I was writing this book near the end, I was like averaging about 1,000 words an hour.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is what I've done is I found a new basically I've been using writing. I've been basically writing in shorthand. Like a digital shorthand. What I do is I drop a lot of the I drop the vowels from a lot of the words.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and also there's just a different typing style. Instead of what I used to do is I'd write in
See, I,
verse.
d- I do that naturally. Leave
Yeah.
letters out of words.
Well, it's actually an effective way to write because you actually you can increase your writing speed by about 20%. Because what I was doing, I was basically writing in bursts. I write out basically vomit out a whole bunch of like a bunch of words and I have to stop to catch up.
Right.
Now
Right.
I just do it at a more steady pace. It's actually faster a lot longer because there's no breaks and it works. It's really
All
helpful.
right. Well, very good. Very good. Well, everybody has to find that trick that works for them. You know.
Well, it's not just
And
that. You've George R. R. Martin, right? You've read George R. R. Martin, I assume, or you've
I've
heard of him.
actually never read his books. I've watched the shows, but my
Well,
wife and my son have read all the books, but I've never read.
one of the reasons why the last two series of Game of Thrones suck so
Mhm.
hard, is because the Benioff and Weiss, the guys running it, they hit the end of the existing material because Martin is notorious for being an incredibly slow writer.
Right.
It's like you'll go like 7 or 8 years between installments of the series. So, for example, when the series started, there were 4 books in the series. There were 4 books.
Mm-hmm.
When it ended, there were 5. And the reason why is not because he's a slow writer. It's just that the way he writes, he's what's known as a gardener.
Yeah.
So he doesn't sketch out a plot beforehand. Like what I do very detailed outlines. What he does is he just starts. He has a general idea where he wants to go, and he just starts writing.
Right.
And he takes the story wherever it goes. So if a character goes like one way, well then that's how the story goes. And if and then it branches off to like other characters, which is why there's so many characters in it. The problem with that method is that if you're not disciplined in what you're doing, you can end up with like over half a dozen hanging plot points that you never get around to resolving. And you can basically write yourself into a dead end, which is basically what he's done a lot of times. And that's so he basically says like he'll throw out half of what he writes and start over. So he's basically like rewriting the book like 5 or 6 times over. And I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking, why are you making yourself work so hard?
Right. So that sounds like Chris Claremont. He used to do that a lot. Throw out plot point ideas that never went anywhere.
Well, there's an advantage to it though, and this is what I think. This is one of the reasons why people like his book so much, and why Claremont's writing still resounds even after he's been up X-Men for like what 30 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he goes on and off. It's because when you use an organic style like that, it feels organic. I mean, the dialogue feels natural. The character growth feels natural. It's not forced because it is natural. The character's growing as you write it. It's not planned out beforehand. See, when I reread the Dark Phoenix saga, I actually got like one of the older trade paperback versions of that.
Mm-hmm.
The one that still uses the weird dots for color.
Yeah, the old dot printing.
Yeah, I rather have gotten it in black and white just so I could see the actual lines, but whatever. Because like all those old weird colors, they literally just like cover up all the shading and all the detail lines. That looks like crap, but I'm reading it and the story feels like very natural. It just flows. And even though at the end, basically Jim Shooter mandated that Phoenix had to die. And I think the original story, she was just gonna like be put on trial and basically given a rap on the knuckles for like blowing up billions of lives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a very dramatic time for the X-Men.
Yeah, I know.
It had a lot of eyes on it because a lot of people were following the storyline, and they literally wanted to make storylines and characters that lasted, and the idea of killing off Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix, and not bringing her back was huge because that was their intent, simply because that's something that was rarely ever done. Characters died all the time, and they brought them back all the time. And that was one he said, he put his foot down and said, this character, when they're dead, stays dead.
Yeah, but didn't they bring her back in the end anyway? And they had to ditch Madeline Pryor.
Well,
Madeline the clone.
Madeline was a clone of her.
Yeah, but I think that was actually a storyline that came up afterwards when basically management.
Oh yeah.
Dictated to Claremont. Yeah, remember bringing back Jean Grey, figure it out.
Yeah, well, they brought Jean Grey back for X Factor.
Yeah.
When they spun off X Factor, so.
Well, I think one of the reasons why there was something else that was interesting about the Claremont, time is that he was exceptional in that he stayed on the same property for so long.
Oh yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why that era of X-Men is still reads so well is because nowadays you got a writer or an artist, and again, this is where American comics differ from manga, because in manga, generally speaking, the same writer and the same artist stay on the same book from beginning to end.
Right.
So it remains consistent. Whereas in a lot of American comics, especially nowadays, you got the writers will stay on for maybe like a year or two, and then they move on to other projects. Like Tom King was on Batman for 3 years, and that was considered exceptionally long by modern day standards.
Yeah, but it went downhill very, very fast though.
Yeah.
Sales went down, and they continued to try to push because they were trying to reach a goal. He wanted to do 100 issues, and for a lot of Batman fans, thank God he never made it. But the funny thing is the long running artists and writers are in independent comics. They're not in the mainstream comics.
No, they're not.
That doesn't exist anymore.
I
You
mean,
know.
Claremont's run was kind of like one for the book, one for the record books, basically.
Yeah.
Some of that's done deliberately because they don't want anybody to get the power that the Image guys had.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, if you think about it, Image Comics, when it was founded, it was those original guys. They have only added one new founder to the company, and that was Robert Kirkman, and that was after the success of The Walking Dead.
And he's the only writer.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Well, he was the only writer. I think didn't it end eventually?
His projects at Image were so successful that they kind of had to, they had to extend him a seat on the board, a seat in the company. Oh, Cross is here. Hey, Rick. How's it going? He says, hi, all. Oh, and Richard also says, I expect 2023 will help me forget 2022. Yeah. Ain't that the truth? So how's it going up north, Cross?
In hope, die in despair.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You see, that's the thing. Yeah, I remember when Image started up, and I tried getting into it, but
we were there. We were there at the very beginning.
I was just a kid at the time, but
yeah, we were high school.
Yeah, I was. What year that had? That was like what, 93, 90, 91, 92, or thereabouts.
Yeah, 92.
Yeah,
that was my senior year.
I was a sophomore in high school, and I liked it. There are a bunch of other indie comics around. There was a comic called Ghost that I really liked, and I read the original
Dark Horse. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the original Witchblade. Never got into Youngblood. I always thought that was just, I don't know. Life.
Oh, we were buying all those, weren't we, Avery?
Oh yeah.
But then they just started running late, and then I really got into Magic the Gathering, and comics kind of fell by the wayside after a while.
No, we never got into the cards. We never got into.
I just wish I'd kept the cards I'd gotten for free.
Yeah, I know.
So
hey, Avery, check this out. Cross says he says it's going good. Got myself a cheap 3D printer.
Ooh, nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Make himself a whole bunch of Canadian Shield action figures with it, I bet.
That's pretty cool, Rick.
Yeah.
One of the problems like Games Workshop's having with Warhammer right now is 3D printing. People are using it to make their own. Using it to make their own figurines.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's problem is kind of GW kind of brought it on themselves because they keep nickel and diming their fan base.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey, did you hear? After the Witcher series dropped Henry Cavill, and after DC dropped him from Superman, his next big project is a Warhammer 4,000 or 40,000.
40K.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm cautiously optimistic, but it is on Amazon. So,
well, I like him as an actor. I don't think there's been very many movies he's been in that I didn't like him in.
I think they're giving him a lot of say in things.
Well, yeah, I think it's like, if they give him creative control, fine. That's the thing. That's the funny thing about Cavill. He's kind of unusual among a lot of actors. He's not just an actor; he's a fan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a legit nerd.
He's basically one of us.
Yeah.
But a lot better looking.
Speak for yourself.
Hey, if I was in as good a shape as he is,
yeah,
I'd look pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually a handsome man. I'm just out of shape.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why he never shows his face. He's a handsome man.
Yeah, right. All right.
We love you, Avery. I just
I am.
kidding.
I'm a handsome man.
You
I'm
are.
just out of shape.
Your mom says it all the time.
Exactly. My mommy told me so. I'm a handsome little man.
Yeah,
My mom doesn't say that about me. So
my mom said my mom always said I could be a handsome man if I just lost weight. And you remember, she said she said that to me when I was 8 years old. So
I think my mother says I could be a handsome man if I was more masculine. Yeah, I know.
My mommy says I'm handsome.
That's right. She says I'm a pudding.
Right. Well,
Oh, hold on a second. Rick says he did a video that you can check out on his channel later. Okay, cool. He did a video on his channel about his printer. Very cool.
Oh, cool. I need to log into my other account. I never log into the account that
follows him.
Yeah, my comics channels and all that. I haven't been in. I'm rarely logged into that account.
So, what do you guys got planned for New Year's Eve, New Year's Day? What do you got going on this weekend?
I might be meeting. I might be gaming with some friends. If not, I'll probably just go fishing. Like I always,
Okay.
Or hang out with a friend, or hang out with a person I know.
Well, I've got the store both days, but we're doing that New Year's Eve party Saturday night, and that should be a lot of fun.
All right.
And that's it. I mean, I did more. My wife and I did more this week than we have in forever. We went out to dinner like 3 or 4 nights in a row. We went and saw 2 movies. We did a lot of shopping together. I mean, we did a lot of stuff. So
Well,
we saw Avatar 2 on Monday, and then this evening we went and saw the Whitney Houston biopic.
Well, how was that? I've heard good things.
It was good, except, well, one of the things that I was telling my wife when we left, that her early music really did nothing for me. I mean, I'm sitting there listening to the music, and I remember a lot of the songs that they were singing, and they didn't have any effect on me whatsoever. And then they had the shot where she was singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl, and that literally sent shivers down my spine. It was just so good. I mean, it's like, damn, this is good. And then she did a performance on Oprah, and then there was a medley of songs that she mixed together, and they were fantastic. I mean, I always remembered, or in my mind, it was always Bobby Brown that like ruined her life by introducing her to drugs. Turns out, based on the movie, I don't know how true it is, she was into the drugs before Bobby. He just got her hooked on the harder stuff.
She was always a wild child. As a kid.
Oh yeah.
I understand. It's just basically Clive Davis. He saw that she could be she could cross over into the white market, but she couldn't be like, street. Basically, she had to be a princess, which really wasn't who she was. But it's just the nature of the business. You gotta. Sometimes you have to put on you have to put on a front.
What was so weird in the movie is that she surrounded herself by people who were good for her. Her producer, the guy that helped her write her music, and she didn't write any of her own songs. None of those songs were written by her. Anything that she was famous for, she never wrote a single one of them. And her best friend and her mother, they were all there as supporting people in her life. But then she had a few that were just leeches and horrible people. Bobby Brown was one of them, and her dad was another. And they were the people that literally bankrupted her and drove her down to the places where she never recovered from. And it's like, it even if you're surrounded by people that care about you and are there for you and are there to protect you and help you, it's that one or two that are just going to drag you down and shit all over you.
Well, that's
what are you trying to say?
See, that's kind of par for the course when it comes to like celebrity.
Oh yeah.
To like celebrity or rock star or famous musician stories. I mean, if you watched Elvis, the Elvis movie that came out like earlier this year.
Yes, I saw that one.
I mean, in fact, it was even worse because the guy who managed his career was basically bleeding him dry his entire, from the moment he, for most of his career, the Colonel was basically bleeding him dry.
Yep.
You look at pretty much every other rock star, rapper or whatever. There's always you have the people around him who care, but then as you get bigger, you get cut off from like what the real world basically, and it's really, and basically people are drawn to the fire of your fame or to the generosity of your wallet. I mean, every famous person is pretty much like that. I've noticed. I mean, look at it this way. I would not wish fame today on my worst enemy, because it's like that old ancient saying: "Those whom the gods would destroy, they first make mad." Or they give if they want to punish somebody, they give him everything he could possibly want.
Right.
And,
Well, one of the things that's funny, one of the themes in the Elvis movie was exactly the same in the Whitney Houston movie. Is when they found out the fathom of horror and bad things that their managers were doing to them and to their money, they stayed with them. They still stuck with them because the colonel was like, "Hey, I want you to do this world tour, whatever." And the same exact thing happened with Whitney Houston. Her father was working on a world tour for her after he like drained her of all of her money, and because they were in their situations they were in, they couldn't say no. They couldn't walk away. They couldn't say, "I'm done with you, piece of crap, for ruining my life." They had to keep going. And that's what eventually killed both of them.
Well, I mean,
Very similar, which is kind of crazy, but I mean,
well,
that's
look what happened to the Beach Boys and to the Beatles. With the Beach Boys, it was kind of like the Jackson Five, like a generation later. Basically, it was the Beach Boys' father, Murray Wilson, who kind of pushed them out there. I mean, Brian Will,
yeah,
you had they had a bunch of good performers there, but and then you had Brian Wilson, who's a legitimate genius.
yeah. And he a little mentally messed up.
But the thing
He
is,
had a lot of
his
problems.
father was basically a failed musician who wanted to live vicariously through his son, and they eventually had to fire their own dad because he was basically effing up their career. I mean, he basically sold, I think, like their early hits for like basically $20,000 in the early '60s, which even then was considered underpriced.
Yeah,
And they apparently had to fight. I don't know if they ever got him back. And with the Beatles, they signed up with Alan Klein, who literally said to them, whose motto was, "You never give me your money." And that's why they and the Rolling Stones, who also got tangled with him, don't own they don't own the rights to like the catalog anymore. I mean, the songs they wrote are now like owned by Klein basically.
yeah.
And then of course then there's the whole Jackson 5 thing. You had Joe Jackson, who to his credit was the reason why he pushed his family got out of Gary, Indiana, and into the entertainment world. But if there's like a bad father award, he'd be like the nonstop champion of it.
Yeah.
And
well, there are numerous stories of family being the worst thing for musicians and singers and actors, and because their families are the ones that stab them in the back quicker than anybody else.
Well, I think it's because in a lot of cases, like there's actually a famous case called the Coogan Law. Jackie Coogan. He was he was one of the original Our Gang from like those like child shorts from the 1930s with Alfalfa and all the rest, and Buckwheat and all the rest. And, like they did a movie of it back in the 90s. I think I'm not entirely certain. I'd have to look it up. I think he was one of them, and he made a lot of money off of it. His parents spent all his money. He actually ended up having to sue his own parents in the 50s once he became an adult just to get what little was left back.
Yeah.
And that they actually changed the law in California to mandate certain rights. Like if you were a child actor, you were actually required to have an on-set tutor, just so you actually get an education. But there's tons of stories about child actors, Disney actors. I mean, Britney Spears, for example.
Oh yeah.
Who basically like the Macaulay Culkin. They were basically the money for their families.
Oh yeah.
And it's try putting, and so people wonder why these kids they get they when they grow up they turn like Aaron Carter basically totally messed up.
Oh yeah, that and Hollywood passes them around like party favors.
Yeah, that too. I mean, let's not go there. But
Horrible business to be in sometimes, you know.
like I said, I wouldn't wish. I mean, that's why I always mute. That's why I always mute the camera. I would not wish fame on my worst enemy nowadays.
I think if I wanted to be an actor, or if I had the ability to be an actor,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like Keanu Reeves, you know, very humble person, very. I think he's a very smart guy, and he's not bloated Hollywood personality. You know, he probably could be, but he's not. You know, there's so much positive news about him. You know, even some of my all time favorites like Tom Hanks gets bad reputations when it comes to some of the stuff he's done. You know,
Well,
yeah,
well, I mean, look. You know, Steven Tyler is now being sued because apparently you know, he did something untoward to a young female fan back in the '70s. So then again, you know,
yeah.
those '70s rock stars have a lot of skeletons that are going to be dug up. But no, it's like that's the thing about fame, though. I think there's something about something maybe American or Western. You know, we love raising people up. We love putting them on altars.
Oh yeah,
We love like turning them into gods to worship.
and they
But
absolutely love them when they fall too.
as soon as they're on that pedestal, we love looking for rocks to throw at them because the only thing we like more than raising them up is knocking them down.
Yep, yep.
Did you ever see that South Park about that with Britney Spears?
No,
No, I stopped watching South Park in like '99. Sorry.
Oh, it was a good one. It was a long time ago. It was when Britney was going through her crazy phase.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically they drove her to suicide, but she lived,
Oh
and
jeez.
she's running around the rest of the episode without the top of her head. It's pretty
That's
messed up.
Well, Rick has a note for us here. He says, "And guys, remember, you're welcome to come onto my show Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern time, and come on the panel just to have log into the Discord and go on air channel in it." Okay. Well, 10 o'clock Eastern time is already too late for me, man. I'm in bed by 9 or 10. The only nights I literally stay up late is Thursday nights. And that's only because of lore games and
Oh yeah, war games.
yeah.
Either you guys going to MegaCon this year?
No, I don't go to conventions.
Haven't made any plans yet for any shows this year. So for next year, I mean. So
I'm thinking if
Not
I get
yet.
the money, I'm thinking if I get the money together, I might go for the entire weekend. Because
see,
I never-
this
I never
past
go-
year we went just on Friday.
yeah, I know I was there. Remember?
Yeah. Just so I didn't have to close the store, and I could just take a day off of my regular job and go down, and it was okay. I mean, the crazy thing about that show, is that I was looking for somebody who had cheap comics, and I didn't find the table
Yeah,
with the best comics until we were on our way out of the show.
There was like there weren't any comic book retailers there.
There were a couple, but not very many.
No, and they didn't have a lot of stock.
Yeah, Avery Artist Alley was horrible. There was like one row of artists that you recognized and knew, and the rest of it was manga, stickers, tchotchke stickers. It was
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, no
Also,
thanks.
yeah.
well, that was also like apparently the complaint about like what was going on at the New York Comic Con as well, is that every year the Artist Alley gets a little bit smaller because I think they're not really Comic Cons anymore, comic book conventions anymore. They're basically generic pop culture conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like when I want to go to NYCC, there'd be like the artists and the comic books would be like kind of shunted off to the sides, and all the main floor would be given over to like basically Marvel was there to hype their movies.
Yeah.
Computer game companies, Funko Pops had a big spot. I don't get the hype behind Funko Pops, by the way.
Whatnot had a big not last year, or not this year because I didn't go this year, but the year before.
Yeah.
Whatnot had a big presence there.
And they
Marvel
had
and DC were not there.
well, actually, the thing that always surprised me is that every year Geico has like a big spot on the floor. And I figure, I guess geeks need auto insurance too. So
Yeah. Well, they assume everybody needs auto insurance that have cars, but not
And,
a lot of people have cars in New York. So
no, but people come in from like tri-state, a lot of bridge and tunnel.
yeah.
And but on MegaCon, it's kind of the same. I don't know. It was all right, I guess. I mean, I liked, but I haven't been to Dragon Con yet, but I'm thinking it's probably the same.
I haven't done Dragon Con in a couple of years. It's been a while. I think 2017 was the last time I did that show.
Well, Atlanta's a bit of a drive.
Yeah.
Mega Dragon Con was a little geared more towards gaming anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
like tabletop or
Yeah.
computer.
Tabletop.
Yeah.
So like Dungeons and Dragons, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check it out then.
Plus, there's all the sex parties there too, right?
What? Seriously?
Yeah. That's the rumor. I never got involved in any of that stuff.
Oh, there was. Oh,
it happened.
It wasn't a rumor at MegaCon. Like there were ads for adult only after parties after MegaCon last year. I mean, they had videos of like strippers with cosplayers or strippers who were cosplayers. Cosplayers.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It is Orlando, so
Yeah.
I mean, is it just me or is like Orlando like one of the most generic cities out there? I mean, it doesn't really have any character beyond the Disney World. I mean, like a lot of like cities to me have to have cities or even towns. If sometimes a lot of the best ones they have like a real personality to them. Like you walk in there and you just get a vibe off of them. Like you walk into Miami and there's a vibe to it. You walk into New York, there's a vibe to it. Oh, you walk into Daytona Beach and there's a vibe. It's a pretty scuzzy vibe, but there's a vibe to it.
Yeah.
I don't really get that when I go to Orlando. I just feel like this place feels like a giant subdivision.
I always feel like I got to keep a close eye on my wallet when I'm in Orlando. Because somebody's either going to steal it or some retailer's going to take it. I always feel like everything costs money down there.
Yeah.
Nothing's free. There's no such thing as walk around and check out the sites. Nope, it all costs you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's when all the sites in Orlando are basically theme parks, which you have to pay to get into. So.
Yeah.
And like Disney keeps hiking their prices. I think it's like the price now for like a full weekend just for one guy is like $700-800.
Yeah, it's a little crazy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time we did Orlando on a regular basis, when the kids were younger, Taco Bell had a deal where if you bought a season pass to Universal Studios, you got a second year free. And we bought season passes for all four of us. And my wife at the time, she was going to school and she had to intern in the positions that she was working towards a degree, and she was doing a double major, hospitality management and culinary management. So she was working at a hotel and Publix in the bakery at the same time. And the hotel she could stay in the hotel in Orlando for free as long as there were rooms available. So what we would literally do is we would drive down Saturday morning. We would go to Universal Studios because we had annual passes. We would check into the hotel. We would stay overnight at no cost. We would go to the bar. They had complimentary drinks, and she did that. I didn't do that. And then the next morning there was the continental breakfast, which actually had omelets and so forth. So we literally the only thing we had to pay for was gas, and that was it. Everything else was covered, and we would spend the weekend down in Orlando at Universal Studios. We did that maybe 5, 6, 7 times in a year, and it was a blast. The kids loved it. I mean, we literally went on every single ride Universal had. And just to tell you how long ago this was, they didn't have the Harry Potter land at that time. They didn't have the Jurassic Park land at that time. So it was before both those sections opened up. So I think the Marvel section was like the newest thing.
Well, have you heard there's apparently a Harry Potter reboot in the works? I mean, they're like literally starting over with a new cast.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
I mean,
I'm amazed they haven't done it with Star Wars yet. Started over fresh. Started all new.
Just give it time. They probably will, and it'll probably and old timers like us will probably be tearing what's left of our hair out over the bizarre casting choices they choose to make. I mean, God forbid that what is that going to be, like Lucina Skywalker or something like that? I I shudder to think, but
Oh yeah, it's all coming, guys. It's all coming.
yeah. But no, but it's like hey, so you mentioned Orlando. Did you ever see the documentary about Lou Pearlman? It came out it's on YouTube. So you remember the Backstreet Boys and all those boy bands from like late '90s, early 2000s,
Sure,
and
sure.
they all came out of Orlando, and they were all basically, the reason why is because they were all basically backed by this guy called Lou Pearlman, who it turns out was a major Ponzi schemer. It's it's kind of a fascinating story. It's a fascinating read because it turns out like there actually is something of an art scene in Orlando because you have all these entertainers coming down to work at the theme parks. They're all musicians, they're all performers,
Hmm.
and when they get off work, they I guess playing Princess Peach all day isn't really gonna you know get your get satisfy your artistic itch. And this guy, he basically ran a blimp company, which was also, it turns out, like basically part of a Ponzi scheme. And I guess it's like a money laundering thing. He started recruiting. He basically, story goes that he rented out an airplane to the kids on the block on one of their tours. And when he saw how much money they were making, he got into that himself, and that's how he found that. That's how he recruited all the kids in the Backstreet Boys. And typical music. We mentioned earlier, musicians who got ripped off. These kids got really ripped off because like apparently they all they got for like 2 years worth of work in the end was like about like $2,000-3,000 because everything else was like basically this guy took everything else, and he was like charging everything to their money while keeping his own share. It's on YouTube. It's actually a pretty fascinating thing. I think you guys would probably find it pretty informative.
I may have to check that out. We were talking when we were watching Die Hard in the thing
Yeah.
about the Netflix show, The Movies That Made Us.
Yeah.
The one about Die Hard is utterly fascinating.
Oh
Just
yeah,
in-
their MP5s weren't MP5s; they were HK94s chopped down.
yeah. Well, also the fact that they were literally writing the script while they were filming the movie because it was unfinished, and it's just amazing at how much of that stuff was done on the fly.
Mhm.
And that movie is like a classic for a lot of people.
That movie also explained like one of the things I've always been confused about Die Hard. The fact that the van at the end didn't match like the van. They came in a van at the beginning, and then like at the end, the van was like a different size, and that was because they didn't have a chance to plan ahead. And just McTiernan said, you know what, F it, just leave it as is. No one's gonna notice.
Yeah.
But they
Well,
did.
well, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
Well, it's funny because if you look at the way Bruce Willis acts in that movie, he's basically still riffing off of his wise ass character from Moonlighting, but
Yes,
this is like
yes.
the guy from Moonlighting, but he's with a gun. He's basically fighting terrorists. But if you look at his later career, I mean, his acting style completely changes. He kind of goes from this kind of very nervy, you know, jokester guy who makes jokes as a way of covering up his fear to like kind of this very stoic, grim, almost a man of few words killer. Like the later Die Hard movies, he's basically playing in that mode full time. And knowing what we know now about his health, you got to wonder, was that just because he couldn't hack it? Just because his condition made it impossible for him to pull those parts off anymore, or was it a deliberate choice, or was it maybe a little bit of both?
Well, he was always more of a comedic guy than anything else.
Yeah, I know.
And granted, the role in Die Hard, even though it was superhero-ish,
Yeah,
was still funny. There was still a lot of humor in it, and that was something that was interesting. And if you think about it, in the later movies, Die Hard 2 still had a little bit of that. Die Hard 3 was definitely more of a serious movie. There wasn't as much joking involved.
well, it
So,
was funny, but in ways that made you really uncomfortable, like the billboards, like the
oh yeah, oh yeah.
scene with the billboard in Harlem. I mean, Even for the '90s, that was still kind of right on the edge.
Yeah, I think the fourth movie is probably my favorite of all of them.
Die Hard with
So,
a Vengeance. Yeah.
yeah. The last one, they killed it for me in the fact that in the preview for Die Hard, for Die Hard, A Good Day to Die Hard, that was the last one. In the preview, there was the scene where the hot chick shows up in a motorcycle, and then she's taking off her costume, and she's like all hot underneath it. And in the actual movie itself, she pulls up in the motorcycle, gets off the motorcycle, and then they cut the scene. You don't see her stripping out of her black leather outfit. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, that was the best part of the preview, and they literally cut it out of the movie. And it's like they cut out the yippee ki yay. You know, they cut that out in order to keep it from being an R-rated movie. It's like, I mean, they literally killed the franchise by taking out the stuff that made the franchise what it is.
No,
You
that's kind of the problem with a lot of these franchises.
know? Yeah.
I haven't thought about that, but I mean, I think we spent a lot of time on this, talking about how all the stuff, all the great franchises and properties that we grew, that are basically bedrock, been part of the pop culture firmament since we were kids, are now all dying out. And yes, it's fun. It's you can point your finger at quote unquote wokeness or PCism or whatnot. Whether or not maybe it's in some cases it's deserved. I think in a lot of cases it's basically an excuse because a lot of it just boils down to like bad decisions that have nothing to do with politics and everything to do with the fact that people running are just utterly incompetent. But also, I think the other reason is that honestly, I think a lot of these franchises are just running out of steam. Nothing lasts
Oh
forever.
yeah.
And I mean,
Well, I understand actors get old. They get older, and they can't do all the things they could do previously. You know.
it's not about the actors. I mean, like you take Star Wars.
I think it's a lot about the actors.
Okay, it is probably about the actors, but like we'll take Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is kind of at this point it's pretty much a given that Star Wars has been in decline for a while. I mean, ever since the prequels. And everybody points fingers at it's because this person's running the studio, or it's because they're getting into they're being all political now. And yeah, that's part of it. But I think in the end that's just a factor that makes it worse. That's not the cause. The cause is basically Star Wars is tired. I mean, we're talking about a thing that was supposed to be. I'm 45 years old. I was born the year. But are you being Darth Vader? But
No.
no. Well, so I think it's just that the point I'm trying to make is I think at some point you run out of ideas. You start repeating yourself, and that's what Star Wars has been doing. That's what Star Trek's been doing. I mean, you get expanded so far, but it's just like it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, well, but we're basically it just stops being interesting. It's like it's like a tea bag that's been refreshed with hot water too many times.
One of the things I think is probably the biggest mistake with the Star Wars movies, specifically 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the fans knew that the original actors, were getting old, and they wanted them to pass on the story to the next generation. And they did a shitty job of it. They killed Han Solo. They killed Luke. They killed Leia. And there was never the opportunity for them to come together and pass the torch on to the next generation. They never did it. They missed an opportunity when it was available. And I think a lot more fans would have been accepting of the new generation more had they done a proper bring everybody together, pass the torch on, and let them continue.
No, because I mean, I think that might have like propped it up a little bit, but I think in the end we would have ended up right back where we are right now because I just think Star Wars it's kind of run out of steam basically. They're out of ideas. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think there's such a potential for lots of different stories and characters. But
They had plenty ideas. They threw them all away.
Well,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
They had plenty of ideas. So are all of the ideas from the novels good? No. But all the best parts they could have cherry picked,
Yeah.
and they chose to throw it away.
They did.
People had been waiting decades to see Mara Jade, to see Han and Leia's kids.
Yep.
Admiral Thrawn. The fans wanted it. They would have loved it, and they would have gone to see these movies 10 times each
oh yeah,
in the theater if they had just delivered. But they didn't. They wanted to subvert your expectations.
Well, another reason
Fuck
is
them.
they didn't want to give those people the credit for what they created.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
That's why they created something completely separate and new, is so that they don't have to give those
Yeah.
old writers credit for what they created.
Fuck them on that too.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
hey, Timothy Zahn is a brilliant writer for that. But I don't know. We'll take Star Trek as well. I mean, they've spent the last 5 or 6 years essentially as a giant prequel to the original series. Like Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
And nobody's watching it because it's just the same story told over and over and over. And it's like the same thing with comics. And I've said this before. How many times can you retell Batman's origin story? How many times can Uncle Ben be killed while Peter Parker's off being a little douchebag? How many times can you say with great power comes great responsibility? At some point, the old stories just get old.
Heck with the new Spider-Man, and I don't hate the new kid. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine as Peter Parker.
But Tom Holland?
Yeah. But they still, without Uncle Ben, they're missing a lot. But that's not his fault. That's the writers and producers.
Well, that's the thing is that you got to wonder though, because all these things are owned by Disney, and they've really and to the
that was Sony.
Oh yeah, well, everything else like Star Wars and Marvel, for example, they've for the last 5 years they've just kept getting the bed, and you got to wonder at some point. At some point they're going to get to the point where the brand's going to be so damaged that even if they get some competent leadership and some decent storytellers in there, it may not matter anymore because people are going to be conditioned to think, yeah, this sucks. I'm not going to waste my time on it.
Yeah, good.
And it's just going to die, or have to be dormant for like 20 years.
At this point, good. I mean, they've earned that.
I mean, you got to wonder why it is that the X-Men haven't come. The X-Men haven't come back into the main MCU, and I think it's because
Takes time.
Well, also because they have to wait for like the earlier batch of movies just kind of fade from memory. They weren't that good at the end. I mean, Logan was good, but
the first X-Men at its time for a superhero movie was good.
Did I ever tell you the story about the premiere of that movie in South Norwalk, Connecticut?
No.
So this is like what 99 or thereabouts. The first Bryan Singer X-Men comes out.
Yep.
And one of the things they did in that movie, and they probably had no choice in the matter, was that they got rid of the yellow spandex costumes, because realistically at the time I don't think anyone could have pulled those off without like people laughing their asses off in the theater.
No, it's not true. They actually absolutely could have. You know why? Because I've seen cosplayers do it.
Yeah, but
they didn't. Their Hollywood snobby
that too.
Perceptions didn't think they could do it because they're a bunch of assholes that don't respect the source material.
Well, so
there's a lot of that,
You can find tons of cosplayers and fan films where they do it and it looks cool.
So I'm at the multiplex in South Norwalk, Connecticut. Norwalk is a town along Connecticut's Gold Coast, and the South Norwalk's a neighborhood there, and it's right on the edge of like a not so nice part of town. So, but I actually got mugged there once, but that's a whole other story. But so we're going to the theater. Well, I'm going to the theater, and it's all lined up. and they got a guy there dressed up as Wolverine. He's obviously an actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a massive bodybuilder type. So he's wearing like the yellow spandex and like the blue panties and so on. And he's got like the big like long plastic claws strapped to his hands. But I'm looking at this guy, and here's the thing: he's big, but he's got like like a lot of like muscle, like weightlifters. He actually has like a layer of fat over his muscles, and the costume is like way too small for him. So like he's bulging out in all sorts of these really weird places. And I'm watching this guy walk, and he's like moving really stiffly. And he's not raising his arms too high because he's afraid the costume's going to split. He's going to split open in front of all the moms and their kids. And it was entertaining to say the least. I think I was mentally taking bets. Okay, is this guy going to like which part of this thing is going to split first? The seat of his pants or the seam under his arm?
That's funny.
Yeah.
You know who I thought of all the X-Men movies, the one character who looked the best in costume was what's her name as Psylocke?
Olivia Munn.
Olivia Munn, and I love Olivia
for
Munn.
her.
I did too,
because she had been wanting to play that role for a long time,
and she looked great.
She looks the part.
And they gave her like 2 lines in the entire movie.
And they butchered her character.
Yeah.
So
her powers weren't right. None of what she does in the comics was in the movie.
She really wanted to play Psylocke. She looks the part. She looks like Psylocke.
Yeah, I question about Psylocke as a character. I actually had a crush on that character as a kid when I started reading comics. I was at summer camp, and all I had with me was like 3 issues of X-Men. I think one where they were going after the Morlocks. And it was a Psylocke heavy line, and she was in her old costume, the one where she was wearing a hood. She was not like the Spanish bikini she was wearing later.
The armor.
Yeah, and I'm looking. at this.
That's okay. Yeah, that's Betsy Broderick. That's when she was white.
Yeah, basically. And how did she become Asian?
What?
How did she become Asian? I mean, was it like?
I could tell you. The Reavers attacked the X-Men in Australia, and caught them with their pants down. And they had to go through this gem thing. I can't pronounce the name correctly, but it was given to them by Merlin's daughter. And when they went through this gem that opened this gate for them to escape, it sort of rebirthed them in a way. And when she appeared in Mandrapore, all psychically raw and crazy, this assassin named something or other, I can't pronounce that name, touched her. And so Betsy's personality overwrote hers, and part of her personality overwrote Betsy's. And the Mandarin had that assassin as his assassin, working for him, and then that got broken, and nobody knew that the other Betsy was out there somewhere in the world till she showed up again. Yeah. But they just knew, hey, our Psylocke, we Wolverine came across her, and they battled, and that what snapped her out of it. But
yeah, she used to be a British woman.
Yeah.
Captain Britain's sister.
Yep, Captain Britain's sister. And she had purple hair, and she wore a pink costume, and
had the armor and a cloak. And
yep, and she was very much, it was a Doug Cypher from the New Mutants that was kind of had a crush on her. Mm-hmm. And that storyline completely went away when she became the Japanese Psylocke.
Yeah.
And I think it had a lot to do with the way
Doug was already dead. Cypher was already dead when she became that Psylocke.
Oh, but he's been resurrected numerous times. So
yeah, I know, but he was already dead at that point. He stayed dead. He stayed dead a long time.
Yeah, well,
for comic books, he stayed dead a long time.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of wondering how they're going to integrate X-Men into the MCU. I mean, they
could literally have it be 2 multiverses collided and no one remembers it any different.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or maybe do the House of M. Or maybe do the House of M storyline.
I wouldn't know. I'm not familiar with those storylines.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll ever happen. That's too big of a story.
I've given up on all of it, and I fuck them all.
Well, speaking of giving up, we're an hour and 15 minutes into the show. It's time to wrap up anyway.
All right.
But I appreciate you guys joining in, having a conversation.
Hey, thanks,
And,
thanks for listening to me bitch about how much I work.
now both of you get back to work.
I've been working this whole time.
Well, good. So have I. I just posted my videos for the next 2 days. So
I can show you some of the coloring I'm working on more.
all right, show it to us in just a second when we get off stream.
I
All right,
can
everybody.
show you on stream. I don't care if anybody sees it. But I'll wait.
Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Have a wonderful, happy New Year, and we will talk to you again next
Bye,
week.
Richard. Bye,
sometime.
Rick.
Yeah, they're already gone. They haven't been here for a while.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
They're smart. They're
Rich
smart. They don't stick around.
Rick is probably going, "What do they invite me on the stream?"
Because you know I'd have to go to Twitter, and I'm not going to do it.
He's not up to date. He doesn't know about lore games and Nerd Den and understand that this is just something else that just happened to spill onto your channel tonight.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll catch y'all next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.